I was just 17 years old when I learned everything I know about home safety. My family fell apart, and I can still clearly recall the moment Talia entered my room, pale-faced, holding a plastic stick. "Jordan," she said, her palm trembling. Just my name, nothing else. The way I stood up after hearing her voice crack. I took the test from her without flinching, 2 red lines, and that little symbol might as well have been a detonator. My heart felt like it wanted to burst from my chest, but I forced myself to swallow it and glanced at her. "We'll work it out," I told her, because what else was there to say? Love meant I told my parents that same evening. I couldn't hide it. I was raised to tell the truth, or so I believed. I was prepared for disappointment, maybe some yelling, but instead I got fire. "You've shamed us," my father yelled, slamming the table so hard the glass pitcher split. Had no idea his face could even turn that color. My mother just sat there, lips pressed so tightly they could have drawn blood. She never looked at me. It was as if I were a stain she couldn't scrub off the table. "I'm going to be a father," I said, quieter now. "We're keeping the baby." My father stood up. "You're not allowed in this house anymore." Just like that. No debate, no slow boil, just banishment. My mother didn't stand up for me, didn't speak. She just blinked. And somehow that crushed me more than the yelling. I went to my room in a daze, took out my old duffel bag and packed it in silence like it was armor, a few pairs of pants, 2 shirts, my sketchbook. That sweatshirt I always said made me look half decent. Father was still pacing downstairs. The air burned with his rage as I zipped up the bag. Before I left, I slipped into my younger sister's room. Kayla was 9, braids in her hair, unicorn stickers on the walls. She sat up and whispered, "Why? Are you leaving with your bag?" I crouched down and pressed my forehead to hers. "Because I have to, Kay. But I'll always be your big brother." She didn't cry. She just nodded. Kids understand more than we give them credit for. She hugged me so tight I thought my chest would crack. And then I left. No goodbye from my parents. It was like I vanished. 1 minute I was their son. The next, a stranger. Talia met me outside her apartment building, mascara smudged, eyes red. When she saw me, she opened her arms. And for the first time that day, I let myself feel everything. Her hands stopped shaking on my back. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "No," I said. "We loved each other. We did nothing wrong. But now, we have to grow up faster than we planned." She showed me her aunt's place upstairs, a 2-bedroom with peeling paint, a futon, and a thin blanket. But that night, with her fingers in mine, I slept with something like hope, even with the pain in my chest. The next morning, I woke to the sound of the city and the weight of the future. She was still asleep, one hand resting on her stomach. Like her body already knew. There was no going back. Not to family meals, not to my old room, not to late-night TV with Kayla. I'd gone too far. Now I had to build what came next. That day, I walked into every business on the block until someone gave me a shot. A small hardware store, smelled like oil and sawdust. The manager looked at me, saw the desperation, and said, "Minimum wage." I nodded. "It's a start." Talia talked about school. I rubbed her feet when they hurt, tried not to let the stress crush me. I drew again, on the backs of receipts, brown paper bags, notebook margins. Art wasn't a dream anymore. It was a lifeline. I was a 17-year-old runaway, a dropout, a soon-to-be father. But I was still standing, and I'd do whatever it took to stay standing. We moved to the basement of her aunt's duplex, on the east side. Cold concrete floors, mildew, a tiny vent that hissed like it was trying to breathe. It wasn't much, but it was ours. A mattress on the floor, a hand-me-down microwave, a fridge from one of her cousins. We celebrated the little victories. Working fan, avoiding electrical shorts, learning which corner, didn't leak during storms. Talia's health mattered more than honor, so I swept floors by day and unloaded crates by night. My hands blistered. Sleep became optional. We ate whatever $5 could stretch, but I never complained, and she never stopped studying. She'd fall asleep with highlighters in her hands, whisper, "Almost done," when I tucked her in. I started taking free online classes, art theory, digital design, whatever kept me sane. No canvas? I drew on napkins, no brushes. I used what I had. Sometimes I left her drawings, little love notes in the form of elephants under moonlight, so she'd remember we were building something, even in the dark. The night her water broke, I was mid-shift at the warehouse. Her aunt called screaming. I dropped everything, ran through the city like it was on fire. At the hospital, Talia looked at me through the rails and finally exhaled. I kissed her hand. "We got this," I said. Micah was born at 3:17 a.m. Beautiful, wrapped, in the kind of love I didn't even know I had left. When the nurse handed him to me, I forgot the fear, the hunger, the exhaustion. He blinked up at me, and I cried. I didn't expect to, but it hit like a tidal wave, a redemption I didn't think I deserved. 2 days later, we brought him home in a borrowed car seat, a blanket from the hospital gift bin. He screamed that whole night, but I whispered lullabies I barely remembered, pacing the cold floor. I couldn't afford to fall apart, so I didn't. As the weeks passed, we learned everything the hard way. Sleepless nights, fevers, diaper disasters. No one remembered us, but I remembered her. Held Talia through, her tears when she thought I wasn't watching. Our clothes smelled like baby wipes and spit up. But we kept going, one day at a time. I painted a mural behind Micah's crib, a moonlit sky. Even if the floor under us was broken, I wanted him to look up, to dream, because he wasn't just a baby. He was a beginning, a second chance. And then, years later, it wasn't the hospital, or the mural, or the sleepless nights that defined me. It was a Tuesday. Micah had spilled red finger paint. I was on my knees scrubbing the futon, muttering. When I looked up, he was just standing there, watching, not laughing, not crying, just watching. Like he was studying what men do when things go wrong. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just cleaning, I was showing him how to survive.